Hey Student Success, welcome to week 6 of the semester. And for our class in particular, week 6 is starting to mark the point where we're going to be wrapping up in the next couple weeks. This is an 8-week course, and so we are kind of on that last little track to finishing up already. So with that, I do want to point out, and you might get tired of hearing this, but I apologize, your Student Success Workshop assignment, because we only have a few weeks left in our 8-week session, we want to make sure that you sign up and submit your certificate. So when you open this up, week 6 starts on February 22nd through the 28th. So you can see here, you do still have a lot of opportunities to sign up for a workshop. You can see there's still several even throughout the week 6, and then you have some throughout March, all the way up until spring break. So you want to make sure that you get those taken care of. So please take a look at that, see what would be interesting to you, because I know it's for an assignment, but I don't want you to just do it just to do it. I want you to really pick one that is going to be helpful to you in whatever way. So take a look at that and make sure that you attend the session. When you register, they should send you like an email with a link on how to join the session with Zoom. So it should be fairly easy to get in that. Every once in a while there might be tech issues, but if you email me or the presenter, it usually is resolved pretty quickly. So make sure you sign up and submit your workshop certificate before the end of our course. All right, so as I mentioned, this is week 6, February 22nd through February 28th, so we're going to the end of the month now. So we're going to scroll down. Here we are in week 6, chapter 6. I always like when that aligns. All right, so as you can see, we have several assignments this week. 8-week course. Some weeks are lighter than others. This is one of those weeks where we just have quite a bit to do. So you can see we have a test or memory assignment, a chapter 6 assignment. You do have a discussion post this week, and then a survey type assignment. So we're going to take a look in our materials folder. And we have our link to our textbook and our chapter 6 slides. So I will say, the chapter 6 slides, I'm not a huge fan of these, only because there's just so many and it might take you a while to kind of muddle through them, but there are some good pieces of information in here, and so it's just a matter of kind of looking through and seeing what you need. There's some review tools, some different ways to study, especially if you're a visual learner. It'll go through and talk to you about the effective methods, and then it's going to walk you through, if you haven't already kind of looked at the topic, chapter 6 is test taking, looking through ways to prepare for the test. And then what I always think is helpful, different types of test strategies. So if you don't know the method or the setup of a test that you're about to take, one of the biggest things I advocate, tell my students, is you got to advocate for yourself. Ask the teacher. The worst I can tell you is no, but most of the time they're not going to tell you no. They're going to tell you, okay, yeah, it's essay, or it's multiple choice, or, they'll let you know the format of it, because you really should study for a multiple choice test differently than you study for an essay test, and so on. So making sure that you know the format is really important, because it's going to help focus your test-taking strategies. So this does talk about different strategies here, and then it even goes into different subject areas, math strategies, and then general rules, and what you do after the test, and then some test etiquette, because your discussion post this week does focus on academic integrity. So how can you be honest in your test taking? What is academic integrity? So test etiquette says, obviously those things that we know. You shouldn't look off of other tests. You shouldn't use resources that are not approved. And a lot of times just putting the time and effort and energy into studying can help solve a lot of those temptations to cheat. So it'll go through kind of how to make sure that you're being academically honest, being a good critical thinker. So like I said, there's just a lot in here. So some of it you have to kind of go through and look. More strategies. So those are the slides for chapter 6. I bring that up because it is helpful, but for this chapter, I tend to mostly rely on the textbook itself. So chapter 6 is about, preparing for and taking tests, which as a student, there's really not many ways to avoid this, especially in your associate degree and your bachelor degree programs. When you, or if you go for like a master's degree or a doctorate degree, the tests look quite different. They're not necessarily the tests that you would take, in a course every week or at the end of the semester. They're a little different, but as a 2-year or 4-year student, this is just part of the thing, part of what you have to expect as a student. So this is kind of a self-assessment at the beginning, and why, like the importance of testing and how to get there. I actually just had a conversation yesterday with one of my students in my face-to-face class, and he said he actually enjoys taking tests in most classes. He said because it really does give him an opportunity to show what he knows, and I was like, that's exactly right. If you approach test taking as an opportunity to expand and demonstrate what you know about a subject, it can become a little less, intimidating. If you look at it as an opportunity to really kind of push yourself, then it might relieve some of that stress. But if you look at it as an opportunity to fail or an opportunity to not do well, then that's going to put more pressure on you. So it does have to do with like the way you approach test taking. And so if you have test anxiety, there is a section on test anxiety and how to control it. What I think is interesting about test anxiety is a lot of it goes back to like our fight or flight mode, our very basic part of our brains. When we have test anxiety, our brain kind of goes into flight mode, which is where you might feel that like blank. All of a sudden you go blank. It's because part of your brain is reverting to like protecting yourself. And so this will talk about ways to try to help manage some of that anxiety. Now, some anxiety is good because it allows you to have a little bit of pressure, a little bit of stress, which can help you do well, because that way I know when I'm stressed about things, it's important to me. And so it's positive to have some stress, but we don't want to have too much. Some tips on studying to learn, not just for the test. If you're a crammer because you feel like you just need to study and do well on a test, odds are you don't retain that information for very long. So you want to kind of put in place a routine that's going to allow you to study a little bit every day, so you're building on knowledge and you're not cramming and then forgetting. And so this section will talk to you about some tips on how to really just retain the information rather than cramming it in for a test and then never thinking about it again. Here is the section on the different types of tests that I mentioned already in the slideshow. If you know what kind of test you're going to be taking, you should approach it differently when you study. So this will go through like different strategies based on the different formats of the tests. And I think it's really important to cater to the type of test that you are going to be taking. Okay, and then something also that I feel like my students don't always use or pay attention to is after they get their test back, what do you do with it? Most of my students will admit, they just put it in their folder and they're done for the day. Like, they did well, great. Or, I didn't do good, I'll have to do better next time. But they don't really spend time looking at why they did well or why they did poorly. Even if you're never going to see the same material again, it's still effective to look at the process of the test, because that way it can help you on the next time you have a test. Even if it's not on the same material, if it's a similar format, it can help you move forward. And then obviously if you have like a chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3 test, and then you have a unit test at the end, you want to be able to improve what you might have missed. So this will talk about how to use your test results to make you move forward in a positive way. So I do encourage you to take a look at our materials there, especially like if you're an anxious test taker, if you want different study strategies for different types of tests, there's some great information in our textbook. And then of course our assignments are going to have you start applying these. So if we scroll down into our assignment folder, we do have a Chapter 6 discussion, so this will be due Wednesday the 24th for Week 6 attendance, and this is going to allude to that academic honesty, or in this case, academic dishonesty. And so you'll see here are the 2 main questions right here. This is your original post that's going to earn your attendance points. It says, what forms of academic dishonesty are most prevalent on your campus? Now, I know we're in a weird time right now. Some of you are not on campus at all. So you can talk about maybe the online environment, what forms of academic dishonesty are prevalent in an online environment, or if some of you were in face-to-face classes last semester or in high school or, anything like that. You can just talk about what do you think are most prevalent. And so what they mean by academic dishonesty, like plagiarism, cheating, using resources that are not approved, kind of falsifying information. And you'll see they talk about this both in your text link and in the other folder that I closed out of already. Here we go. It'll talk about the academic dishonesty in here as well, if you need more ideas, if you're not quite sure what might be considered academic dishonesty. And then what can you do to avoid them in your own career? So if you know, for instance, that plagiarism is an issue, how can you avoid plagiarizing? Or if you know that, cheating in a classroom setting, like on a test, is prevalent, how can you avoid that? Okay, so those are the 2 questions that you'll answer. And then, as always, when you're done with your first post, make sure you go back and respond to 2 classmates' posts so that you can get the rest of the points for the discussion post itself. So again, Chapter 6 discussion due by Wednesday for week 6 attendance, and then by Sunday respond to 2 classmates. Okay, we're going to scroll down, and now we have a Chapter 6 assignment, and this always confuses people a little bit, so I just want to make sure that you know that there are multiple steps to this, and it has it right here. So step 1, read the attached article. So right here, fake news article, and it'll open up into a PDF. You can see it's just 3 pages, so it's not terribly long, and the first page is mostly an image. So we're going to scroll down, and you're just going to read this article. That's the first step. Read the article. As I said, it's not terribly long, so make sure you just read it through. Then you're going to do this part here. You'll see there's another part down here. Choose one of the following verbs included here and write a short essay question about this article. Okay. That means you're going to choose one of these verbs inside this table. Doesn't matter what it is. Maybe you want to use compare, or you want to use compare contrast, or you want to use clarify. Whatever verb you want to do. Write a short essay question. So that's what you're doing for step 2. You've read the article. Step 2 now, you are going to write a question. So please defend, or compare or contrast. Write the question. Then this is the part that a lot of people miss. Answer your essay question. So I think what happens is even at first glance, I do this as well. I think, oh, there's only 2 steps, and then step 3 is down here. So you want to make sure that you not only pose the question, you answer your own question. So whatever verb you choose to use and form a question on, answer that question. So when you go in here, you can even do it just right in, write submission. Question, and you type your question there, and then you answer it right there. You can do that all in the same space. That is fine. But you want to make sure that whatever you pose, you also answer. Right? And it says in about 3 to 5 complete sentences. So, like a paragraph, not terribly long. What it's doing is it's trying to put you in the mind of a test creator, because in your essay test that you'll have to take eventually, if you haven't already, in your classes, these verbs are often used for you to be able to describe and go into detail about a particular topic or question. And so it's putting you on the reverse. It's making you generate the question and then answer that. So that's Chapter 6 assignment. You read the article, pose a question using one of these verbs, and answer that question. Okay, scrolling down, you see there are 2 test your memories. They go together. So first you take this test your memory survey. It's going to pop up in another one of those little boxes. You can see like right here. And it's going to talk to you. You're going to hit next and you're going to go through it. You're going to get some results. Using those results, you're going to answer these 3 questions. I will not see how you did on the survey, but you're going to answer these 3 questions, and that's how you get credit. How many words were you able to remember? It's a test your memory, so it's going to test like you on a list of words. Which words did you forget? And what memory techniques did you use to help you remember? So again, for this one, you can go in there. Some people do write it in a Word document, but it's just as easy to just click on Write Submission and submit it that way. So again, you're going to take the survey first, and then answer those 3 questions based on your results right there. Okay, and the last thing, how well do you study? This is another assessment. Again, it's all tied into test taking. So again, you'll click on it. It's going to open up into another box, and this is automatically graded. So you want to make sure that
Good study skills.
Make sure you let it run all the way through to the last slide, because often with these kind of assignments, I go in and it tells me that it's in progress because a student hasn't completely finished it yet, even though I can see that they spent, like 5 or 10 minutes in there. All right. So that is week 6, chapter 6. So as a recap, you want to make sure that you look at the chapter 6 materials. You are completing the test your memory assignment. You take the survey first and then answer the 3 questions. Chapter 6 assignment, you read the article, pose a question using one of the verbs, and then answer your question. Chapter 6 discussion by Wednesday for week 6 attendance on academic dishonesty, and the how well do you study assessment. So those are your assignments for this week. Real quickly as well, I just want to draw your attention to the fact that because we're in week 6, I will be reopening week 1. You can see it's already scheduled to reopen toward the end of week 6. It'll open up for that Friday, Saturday, Sunday of week 6 for any students who maybe missed the first week of the semester, or you were getting used to Blackboard, or you joined the course late, or whatever the case is. I know several of you have asked, and that's usually my plan every semester anyway, is to reopen week 1 toward later on in the semester. So that will open up Friday, Saturday, Sunday, starting February 26th. So you'll see at one point, week 6 and week 1 will both be open at the same time toward the end of that week. So if you need to take advantage of that, just look out for that announcement and get into week 1 and make up some points. All right, hope everyone has a great week. Bye.